Welcome to the Ascended Podcast, where we challenge reality and we chase up the status quo. We shake up the status quo. My bad. Let me try that again. Welcome to the Ascended Podcast, where we challenge reality and shake up the status quo, all while keeping it a little bit of fun, you guys. I'm Caleb Schulke, and yes, I am out of uniform right now. I may serve in the military by day, but as I should state, the opinions here are all mine. Got to throw that in to keep within my UCMJ limits, So picture me sitting here in my comfy t-shirt, pretty easy, and not representing Uncle Sam, but just choosing to speak my mind freely with the rights I have as a citizen. Today, we're diving into some uncomfortable truths about the world around us. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to specifically be talking about for us men. Think of this as a series and a serious talk series, right? With dark humor, not dark as like the memes you see, right? But just challenging the norm of reality, right? There's not going to be like, I'm not targeting any groups of people. I don't want to do that. I just want to challenge your mind to open up. And I just want to go against systems that you think you've always had to believe in, right? Because there's some truth to it, right? But when we can think freely, that's when real change can start. And a lot of you don't even know what changes you have to make yet. And that's mainly why I'm doing this in the first place. Mass awareness, you guys. So strap in, because we're about to challenge reality and possibly ruffle a few feathers. All in good fun though, because I'm here for you guys. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with the biggest picture, the matrix, as we've all been sold. I'm probably already getting at risk of being banned just by saying that word because of how mainstream it is now and how controversial it is. You guys know the deal. Go to college, get a degree, find a stable job, sorry to hiccup, and you'll have the whatever we call the American dream. It sounds pretty nice, right? Except reality is painting a different picture for many men today. Over the past few decades, fewer men are earning college degrees. Think about this. Just hear this stat out. The share of bachelor's degrees going to men has actually been declining. Back in 1972, men got 56% of the degrees. Makes sense, right? Like, again, it was more of like the working man profession, right? In the 70s, 60s, I would say. So men got 56% of the college degrees in the 70s. Now women get about 58%. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that like women shouldn't be getting degrees. I'm saying that it should be 50-50, right? Like, we're about 50-50 in terms of the population. So why are women getting 3/5, about 60% of the degrees? And during the pandemic, men's college enrollment dropped 5 times more than women's. Men dropped out of college at a rate of 5% and women only dropped out 1%. I can't necessarily identify a cause for, but maybe it's just because men rely on the social structures a little bit more in college. The fraternities, the things like that kind of keep you involved socially and motivated. Maybe it's just because we rely and staying in groups a little bit more. Women are a little bit more independent, I would say, with their studying. So, it can go either way, but for some reason, men have dropped out during COVID at 5% versus 1%. It's just a lot of guys skipping college, right? Or not making it through. So meanwhile, we've all heard the saying, just get a degree and you'll land a good job. Just get the degree and you'll be fine. Well, tell that to the countless guys out there who did everything right and still struggle to find meaning or opportunity, especially in the world we fucking handed. What is this bullshit? What are we giving out? What is the value of having a degree today? Just to start in debt and have to climb uphill even harder in a job market where you have to apply 80 times to even get a second offering or second round of interviews? What is this? Why is this happening? Well, partially because the traditional education system isn't exactly male friendly. I'm not being misogynist. I'm not saying women shouldn't have the things that they have. I'm just saying it has been trending away from men. Like, men have just been suffering. It doesn't mean anybody else is doing better. Newsflash, by many metrics, girls outperform boys in school. Right? Boys drool, girls rule. Higher grades, higher graduation rates. That comes from harvardmagazine.com. So fact check me. Classrooms rewards sitting still, being verbal, following rules. Not exactly every 15-year-old boy's strongest skill set. I mean, at 15, I was probably better leveling up in Halo than I was focusing on writing a paper. So I don't even think I have this fact, but look at the ADHD problem. How hard is it, and how many men compared to women are getting diagnosed as ADHD? When in reality, it's just our natural brains, right? Craving the ability to take action, not sit in a desk and just stare at a wall for 6 hours. That's not a human survival thing. We should, at bare minimum, be outdoors, right? But because that's just, humans aren't wired to live in a small box in air conditioning our whole lives. And then when you're trying to focus on something for a long period of time and being categorized as ADHD when that doesn't fit perfectly with you, is it? Or is that just your body trying to tell you, hey, I'm still a human being? So think about that. A lot of men find, young men in particular, right, that are in school, find school boring or hostile to how they learn. Ever notice how a boy who can't sit still, like I just said, is given that like negative label as a problem student? They're an issue. They're breaking away from the structure. This boy can't sit still. We need to bring his parents in and condition him. The system sometimes pathologizes normal male energy. It's like asking a Labrador to sit quiet for 8 hours and then wondering why it chewed up the couch. Well, is that the dog's fault? Or is it the fact that you put unrealistic expectations on a young boy who is going through growth, right? He has a lot of energy. He wants to exhibit that energy. He wants to participate in the world, experience things, and you're putting him in a classroom to lock in, right? You can't do that if you're trying to explore and be creative. And so the traditional school system is struggling in a lot of ways. I'm just going to point that fact out. It's just, that is a fact. It's not, I don't even think that's my opinion, guys. It's just stats are up and the research backs that. Boys and young men are often hands-on learners, but our education system just really doesn't cater to that. So what happens? What happens when education sucks? Well, many drift away from the traditional education path. Some find their way in trades or other careers, which can be great, but not really. Society still often judges a man worth by fancy degrees and white-collar jobs. That determines your value out there. We end up with a lot of young men feeling lost in the shuffle. No wonder, guys, if you think about how this system is set up, you very quickly realize that it really does make sense. Like, it seems like there's something broken, but in reality, like, the system's working perfectly for how we set up. So in my mind, the right question to ask is, who designed it to work this perfectly in this way? What is the benefit to a system that incentivizes sitting in silence for 8 hours and not exploring your creativity? Who benefits when young boys, young men can't design and create something natural and creative to the world? Why is creativity so punished nowadays? Who suffers and who is challenged in authority when creativity rules and obedience is preferred? Who benefits from that system? I'm not calling out anybody. I'm just asking rhetorical questions here. We end up with a lot of young men just feeling lost, guys. Here's a stat. Since the late 1970s, most men's real wages actually fell when adjusted for inflation, even though women's wages rose, harvardmagazine.com. Think about that. An average guy today might be earning less in real terms than his dad or grandfather did at the same age, also while hearing about how privileged young men are. Meanwhile, an increasing share of men in their prime working years, from 25, 54, have dropped out of the workforce entirely. They're not working. They're not even like trying. They're not looking for work. That's also Harvard Magazine, the same study. As of 2024, about 10.5% of prime aged men in that category, right? The working class of men, working age group of men, that's about 7 million people in the US, are neither employed nor are they even giving a shit about trying to find a job. They're just sitting there. And partially, is that even their fault? Is it the system's fault with how hard it is? I've heard friends that have now been on their like 7th round of interviews to get a job. What are we doing? In the 1950s, that unemployment rate or that non-participation rate was almost negligible. It was about 2 to 3% of people that were like, you know what, I don't need a job. I'm not even gonna go try to find a job. Now it's quadrupled. It's like a whole army of men has checked out from the traditional career track. Some might be staying at home by choice. You know, it's if you have rich parents, if you have luxuries provided, I don't think I even encourage that. Like, even if you have the resources, you should still be trying to develop yourself, but sure, I could get that. But studies show that most of these non-working men don't have a stay-at-home dad, a wealthy family, right? Or a gig, right? Taking care of them. A lot of them are just, for lack of better words, like disengaged. They're living off savings, their disability, government benefits, relatives, playing video games in the basement. We're going to get to that in a second too. That just puts more burden on everyone else, right? Because obviously if you're taking government benefits, who's paying for that? Where does it come from? Not an opinion. That can't be an opinion. Right? I'm just saying, like, where does that come from? Somebody has to pay for it. So if the system becomes more and more broken and people are incentivized to do these things because it's so hard out there, well, the bottom line, the old promise, just do what you're told and you'll be successful, is not panning out for a lot of young men. That's the first reality check. If you feel like this system is rigged, or at least not built for you, you're not alone. In fact, this trend is so real that even Harvard researchers are now looking into the male malaise. They found that as women have surged ahead in education and adapted to a changing economy, they've kept up. Many men, especially many working class men who've still had to do a lot of the blue collar work disproportionately, have struggled to adapt with far fewer, resources or support directed at helping them. Again, that comes from Harvard. One more time. Society puts a lot of effort into encouraging women, which is great, guys. Nothing against that. That's not my view. I don't challenge that. But they virtually forgot about men in the process. Hurrah for women, go women. But at the same time, you can't just forget about men. You can't say, well, our only focus in society is going to be on women right now. Men, go eat a bag, basically, is what it's saying. And no wonder the stats are slipping. No wonder they're not keeping up. No wonder male depression is so high. Well, you can't just forget about it, half the population, just to help the other catch up, right? You have to kind of do both. And it just takes a lot longer. In reality, this like this kind of equality movement, it takes a lot longer. And it's like, if you try to fix it overnight by only preferencing one group of people, well, no wonder the rest aren't going to keep up when the rest of the world is changing on its own so fast. So don't get me wrong, advocating for women's rights is absolutely necessary. It's still important. But can we acknowledge women's progress and also ask, hey, what about the guys? If that question makes you uncomfortable, if it makes me look like misogynistic because I think men's health and men's structure matters, especially when I just gave you all those facts that we're slipping and falling behind and suicide rates and depression rates are going up, is that like a burden that we're supposed to pay? Are we supposed to kill ourselves? Are we supposed to fall off on purpose just to make it equal? Is that really what we want? Or can we do both? If that question makes you uncomfortable, well, because we're asking it here. Because ignoring these issues is how you get a generation of disaffected men. And you're wondering why relationships are 50-50 now, split the bill. I don't know what to say. It's very obvious if you look at the trend, but I'm not advocating for women to pursue everything they want to in society. Go you guys, kick some ass, girl boss energy, but you can't just forget about people in the process. I think that's just a general universal truth in every area, right? It could be racial equality. It could be like different countries, right? Advocating for benefits, right? Global politics, things like that. Let's talk about the silent struggle. By the numbers, and hopefully a little bit of humor here. We hit education and jobs. Now let's talk about the personal life. So you ever hear that phrase, deaths of despair? It's a grim term researchers use for deaths by suicide, drug overdose, or alcohol-related liver disease. I wonder where that comes from. Basically self-destruction. It's a self-destruction quotient. And I'll tell you the fact. Men are dying at these deaths at nearly 3 times the rate of women. 3 times. 3 times. That's not a small gap. That's Grand Canyon size. It screams that a lot of men are in serious pain. They're often invisible behind a forced smile or stoic silence. You won't see these stories on Instagram. There's no hashtag for guys drinking themselves to death alone. I have too many friends. I have military background here. I have a lot of friends that, got out of college. They were put in a good position, good working job. They don't have a partner. They don't have they were put in a leadership responsibility where they couldn't interact with people outside of work. They had to be the stoic leader, right? They couldn't fraternize, right? And so you're just alone at night. What do? You drink, go out, you have to make yourself feel good. Is that a recipe for pursuing excellence? No, more likely than not, most of the people are going to take the vices and not the righteous path, okay? And no wonder that this shit's happening. And most of the people don't even have jobs. Like these are my friends. I've been to a prestigious university. I got lucky. Most people don't even have that. Society often doesn't talk about it. We don't talk about it, which is why I'm here. Because the narrative is that men are privileged. How the fuck dare you complain? You privileged piece of shit. You misogynist. Why do you deserve rights? You've had your time in the sun. But when male suicide rates are that much higher, you might want to start paying attention. And it's not just extreme cases like this. Think about loneliness in relationships. We've all heard how men are trash. I don't need a man on social media and late night comedy. Jokingly, of course, right? Ha 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 ha. A lot of young men today are having less success in the dating world. And obviously that means typically so are women then too. It's just a problem. One stat that blew my mind is nearly 1 in 3 young men from 18 to 24, right, your prime like initial dating years, 1 in 3 reported having no sex at all in the past year. Yeah, you heard that right. About a third of young men are effectively on a dry spell, a horrendous fucking dry spell. You guys just can't get it. And like, sure, it's funny, right? And before someone says hooray for celibacy, trust me, most of these guys aren't doing it by choice. In the year 2000, the number was around 1 in 5, which doesn't seem like that big of a difference, right? But in 2018, it shot up by almost 1 in 3. And the pandemic likely didn't help matters, right? People are more isolated. You're not going to go on as many dates, right? They're wearing a mask and you aren't. That's already initial social awkwardness, right? So if you're a young man feeling romantically invisible, you're statistically in good or bad company. Meanwhile, you hop on Instagram or TikTok and see countless videos. Women too, you guys. You see the videos of guys in sports cars with beautiful women, happy couples living their best nights, the date nights on the beach, the proposals all your friends are having, when you don't see the 99 other friends that are sitting there lonely as fuck, and then you feel bad for seeing that. It's easy to feel like the only loser in a world of winners. And on social media, there's nothing but winners. Nothing but winning is celebrated. But trust me, there's a quiet epidemic of loneliness going on among young men. Let's throw in another number. 2023, 20% of men aged 25 to 34 are living with their parents in 2023. So I doubt that trend has changed much. That's from Pew Research. 1 out of 5 young men still in their literal mom's basement or mom's spare bedroom, maybe to be precise. But yes, men are more likely to be in that situation than women. 20% of young men live at home and 15% of young women, which is still right. There's still a lot of young women. I get it. But typically who's held more liable when it's, oh, you live with your parents, right? It's usually more men. Like, get a job, get out there. Women, a little bit more mercy there. But again, still an issue societally. Now, living at home longer can be smart financially. And in some cases, I would push for that. because the housing market, you're gonna buy a house, you're gonna rent this insane fucking rate. I have to, because I work, I have to be close to wherever I'm working across the country. I'm not knocking anyone trying to save money on rent, okay? But it's not often voluntary, just like the sex thing. High rents, low wages, difficulty finding a solid job, all of that pushes guys back under their parents' roof. It can feel a lot of times then like life is on hold. You're 28 and the highlight of your week is maybe beating your younger brother at Madden in the same house you grew up in, probably 20 years before. Not exactly the glamorous life we imagine. Speaking of video games, I told you we get to this, right? We love them. I love them. But a lot of men, especially those out of work guys, retreat into gaming and online worlds as like a coping mechanism. Yes, guys, yeah, I love playing Fortnite. I love playing Call of Duty. Well, it's because the world they live in is so shitty and they've been told not to stand up, not to be a male, express their manhood, take leadership. Don't suppress people, right? Don't take charge over other people. And stop trying to put your foot down on the world and submit, right? Give other people the power. Jerk off, right? Lose your testosterone, lose your male energy. No wonder you don't like this world. Nobody likes this fucking world. And get into Fortnite or GTA instead as a coping mechanism. Yeah, Minecraft. It's safer to grind for the next rank in Call of Duty than to face a world that you feel is rejecting you. Studies actually found that young men have been spending more and more time gaming in the last few years, especially those not employed, unsurprisingly, essentially using games as a substitute for the fulfillment of a job or a relationship that it might have provided, right? That comes from eresourcecoach.com and also Harvard Business Studies. Now, I enjoy a good round of Warzone, guys. I love it, Fortnite, whatever it's going to be, as much as the next guy. And I love scrolling on TikTok to get away from the shitty day I had, right, sometimes. But when hours a day are lost to gaming, right, or just mindless scrolling, hopefully this video that you're watching, if you guys are here right now, this isn't mindless scrolling. I can actually say that this is one of the safe spaces because you're learning something. I'm teaching you stats. You guys are like, I'm bundling this, doo-doo stain lesson into a fun package with my pretty face. And you guys aren't just like brain rotting here, so don't worry. But when you're packaging, when you're spending hours a day on your phone or just gaming, right, it can become a trap. It's like the Lotus Eaters in the Odyssey. Have you guys ever seen the Percy Jackson movie, right, where they're in the casino and there's poker face playing and they're like eating these things and they're like, oh my God, what time is it? We got to get out of here. Yeah. Or I guess maybe that's just like any casino. That's probably how it is. You just get so comfortably numb that you stop striving for more. And again, I think I made this point yesterday, or the last 2 days maybe even, but like if I wanted to win a 5K, I'm not going to train my ass off. I'm going to go to the other athletes that are in my class or whatever and be like, hey, I brought donuts in, guys. Take it easy. You've earned it. And then I'll train a little bit and I'll win. So who's doing that to you? Who's putting this TikTok in front of you? Who's putting video games in front of you? Who's discounting the Xbox for Black Friday to make it seem like a deal? I fell for that a lot myself. So here we have it. Men are falling behind in school. We covered that. They're failing in the job market. They're feeling lonely. They're living with their parents longer. They're escaping into virtual pleasures. And they're silently suffering, usually doing all of this. Nobody to talk to. Yet the mainstream narrative, still, the mainstream fucking narrative is often that men are doing just fine. It's men who are the problem. He lied, she believed. I need one of those like little bookmarks. I'm not saying women are the enemy, guys. I love women. I actually, I love women. Go you guys. But we can't forget about men. Like we can't, it's like at what point do men take enough lashes to let everyone else get ahead that we say, you know what? You've been beaten down enough. Now you can stand back up again. We're bloody and our knees don't work. And we're like, we got like 4 teeth knocked out. We're like, thanks. Like, is that fair? Do we deserve that? Or like, what? You guys know what I'm saying here? God, we hear terms like, again, we just hear terms like toxic masculinity just thrown around in every other think piece. Now, I'm not saying bad behavior by men, right? There's toxic behavior. It is a thing. And we call that out. We call that out very often. It's like you just take a label and you stamp it on everything, like a stamp of approval. And every time a man does something, it's toxic. And so when everything male is framed as inherently toxic, because showing dominance, using your fucking balls and your testosterone within them to feel like you can lead a tribe of people, take leadership, take initiative, that's healthy for our society. When you're doing that, a lot of guys just tune out. They don't want to say, oh, I'm being in a position where a strong man is leading me, because you've been fed a narrative. In fact, a poll by the UK found 37% of young men of Gen Z, that's over a third, say the phrase toxic masculinity is unhelpful and they dislike it. The Guardian. Good. We're waking up. Not all male behavior is toxic. Now, there's certainly a lot of fucking brain rot, tung tung saur, all the stuff. Yeah, that's the only one I know. I don't know any other brain rot. So you guys might need to comment your favorite brain rot so I can catch up. But just not all male behavior is toxic. And so again, it's like good. Over a third of people are sick of it because it's a buzzword now. Shocker. They don't like being told that their gender, their sex, I guess, is a toxin. Who would have guessed? Now, here's another twist. The same research from The Guardian showed that 1 in 4 men, 1 in 4, believe it's actually harder to be a man than a woman these days. That's a fact. That's not my opinion. That comes from the study. 1 in 4 men believe it's actually harder to be a man than a woman. Let that sink in. You with the sink. Come on in while I take a sip of water. I need this refilled, so. 25% of Gen Z males think men have a tougher deal in society. So what does that imply? Well, 75% think women have a harder time. And this was in the UK. I bet US results will be similar. Oh, sorry. No, I'm wrong. That's not the point I was making. The other 75% think it's equal. It's not like 75% think women have a harder time. It's that 25%, like everyone thinks it's about equal, but then 25% only say that men have a harder time. And it doesn't go the other way. Meanwhile, among older generations, far fewer men felt that way. So something's changed. Maybe we're waking up. Maybe we're just getting out of bed. Maybe we had our morning coffee. Maybe it's the system that has put us here has done it good enough that it's taken its foot off our neck, and we're realizing that, hey, we can still have an opinion here. So something has changed. Young men are feeling a squeeze, a kind of disillusionment that their fathers or grandfathers maybe did. Where was this shit 100 years ago when we were shipping off to war? We're talking about that right now, and all of a sudden, oh, you guys should be in the draft. We don't need to be in the draft. Do you understand the double standard? Because I see a lot of that. And I do think, like, again, I think I have so many people that I serve alongside, and I'm happy to, that are women. They're probably a lot better at the job than I am. That could do it a million times better. But then I don't need to dodge the draft because I'm a woman. Okay, so which is it? Do you want the position that you could probably kick my ass at a lot of the times? Or do you want to get out of it? Like, because this is a man's thing. Like, you can't have both sides. I think it's hard because social media plays both sides so well, and you hear both and you're like, okay, well, what do I do? Do I step up and take the role and I participate in the draft? I mean, I'm already serving, guys, but do I take the man's role and do I like go fight to protect us? If the war broke out tomorrow, well, and I have you stay home, or is that now toxic? Is it only toxic when it's convenient for you? What is deciding whether or not this is toxic? And it's confusing. And you can't just like there's not a council of men out there. We don't meet like twice a year in the Cayman Islands or whatever and like decide on these things. So if you guys can give us an answer to that, or just your opinion, that'd be great. But I do think that it's a curve. You saw this in politics a lot. Like we were in the Andrew Tate arc a while ago where it's like, be dominant, be masculine, whatever. And then it kind of goes back the other way. We get really soft. And then like, it's very like men should shut the fuck up. And then it's like going back up. So it's like all over the place. But I think it does follow a general trend. And right now the trend is getting more toward like, okay, it's not bad to have a masculine role. Maybe we're a little bit too hard on ourselves when suicide rates are through the roof. Gee whiz. So our grandfathers didn't have social media. They didn't do this shit. Now, honestly, I would probably rather be my grandfather. I'd rather die, 15 years earlier and have health risks or whatever. I'd rather have lead paint on the walls growing up, but not have social media fucking up my brain every day and telling me double standards all day that I can't discern than dealing with this shit. We're told we're privileged, yet a lot of us feel powerless or left behind. I'll give you an example. Consider the family court system. This, by the way, I'm going to disclaim again, this isn't my opinion. This is just facts that I'm presenting to you guys. If you know, you know. Conventional wisdom for decades. In a divorce, mom gets the kids, dad gets the weekend visits, right? Not always true, sure, but stats show fathers are granted primary custody. Guess how much? How often are men granted primary custody? Right? There's a man and a woman, so typically, right? So men and women, 50-50, right? There's two people in a relationship. The woman gets the kids 72% of the time. The man gets the kids 18% of the time. 18%. By the way, that comes from divorcelawyersformen.com. Basically, if you end up in a custody fight, the odds are stacked against you, brother. Severely. Many men know this, so they suffer through unhappy marriages, or if divorced, they suffer through the pain of seeing their kids rarely. There's an incentive to stay together, and honestly, that's probably a good thing, because we need people to stay together, but I don't think this is the way to do it. But society really empathizes. If a man complains about it, he's told to suck it up, or just you get a label of being bitter. I probably am already receiving that label just by talking about this shit. And it's like, well, if that's not the biggest proof of my argument, then you tell me what is. These are the kinds of realities that don't get much airtime. And so that's why I'm here, because they complicate the popular narrative. It's way too often easier for society to say men are on top, women have it hard, end of story. And that was the case probably in terms of like organizational structure, right, for a long time. And in many areas, like certain careers or politics, yes, men still dominate at the top. But what about the bottom? We just talked about who's at the bottom of education success, who's dropping out of work, who's dying younger. Reality is not just one-dimensional. There's good and bad. And ignoring men's issues has consequences. You wonder why guys gravitate to people like Andrew Tate or Nick Fuentes? It's because at least those guys give a shit. At least they talk about it. And they're the enemies, right? They're made out to be the enemies by a lot of, independent people, independent women, right? Media. No wonder they're getting silenced, because they counter the narrative. They acknowledge the frustrations that young men feel. Now, full disclosure, I am not endorsing everything those two say. I'm not. So don't clip this out of context. If it does, then I have this for my defense. Tate has some fucking wild things about women I do not 100% agree with. And he's facing some serious charges, which I really hope aren't true. I do hope that. Could be just an attack from the system itself, somebody wanting to go after him. Could be completely true, but, and again, I'm not going to side with somebody that has that, at least until we know more truth. Fuentes has his own baggage of extreme views too, but here's the point I want to make. These figures wouldn't be popular. They just wouldn't. If there was a hungry audience of men who feel unheard, if there wasn't a hungry audience, right? If people don't feel unheard and crave someone, anybody speaking to their experience. For once, somebody says, yes, you in the dark corner over there, being told you're a piece of shit, you need to get a job and you're playing Fortnite all day. Hey, what if there was a way out? What if you didn't have to kill yourself like everyone else is saying? And social media is silently telling you, well, you're not this, so you have no worth. Yeah, what if somebody could give a voice to those people? You guys don't see that. Or maybe you do and you just don't choose to recognize it, but you will recognize the thing that's taken completely out of context and say, well, anybody having Andrew Tate's point of view is just a misogynist. When he says you should provide more value so that not that a woman has to stay at home all day, but so that they have the opportunity to. If they want to go out and be a bioengineer, fine, go do that. I want to give you the freedom to go work and develop yourself into a healthy individual who can have their own choices. But I'm not telling you this is what you have to do. When you take the clip out of context and you only hear the first part of the sentence, of course it's going to sound bad. I've said a million things here that if you take 5 words from this sentence and 3 words from this sentence and you put them together, I'm going to sound like a total asshole. But that's how you make a point. You have to point out a reality, and then you have to counter it with the way you think things should be. And too many times you hear the clip of him countering reality with what he thinks should be the case, but not the justification. The counterpoint is blown up, right? Because that's what goes viral. That's against everyone's view. That's the misogyny speaking up, as it would be labeled. But then you fail to see how he values it and backs it with a sentiment for, I actually care about you so much. And this is why I want to do it for you. And I want mutual respect. That's not something I think most people would argue against if they knew the full story. But I think too many of you just want to feel like you have an enemy out there and that the narrative that you've been taught for so long is correct and that anything against your view is wrong, that you want to have solidity in the world and so you won't question your views. That to you, it just is too hard to grasp. And I'm probably not speaking to you then. I'm probably not, this message probably won't land with you because you're going to label me as the same misogynist. You're going to label me as the same enemy because I'm challenging your worldview. I want you to just address these things and think about what I'm saying. And if you can't do that, well, of course you're going to label me as the enemy because it doesn't reinforce the comfort, the safety wall you put up to reinforce your reality. But that's how society, go back to Greece, right? And look at like Athens versus Sparta. Like, let's look at Athens, right? The city that focused on education, on wisdom. It had some amazing societal advancements. Sparta was needed too. And in reality, I think the perfect society is kind of a combination of both of those. You have strong, developed physical energy combined with a passion for knowledge, experience, and exploring the world. And when you're not doing both of those, honestly, your world will fall apart and it'll be very obvious which one is lacking. In 2022, let's talk about Andrew Tate one more time. He got so popular for his viral rants that he amassed millions of followers, which freaked out the establishment. I just got a text from this girl I was talking to. Sorry, guys. So I had to read it because I had to ask her a question a little earlier. So, all right. So Tate got so popular for his viral rants in 20. You guys saw the videos, right? What color is your Bugatti? Tate got so popular for his viral rants that he amassed millions of followers, which freaked the fuck out of the establishment. This quickly banned him from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, every major platform. Who owns these platforms? That's all I can say. For alleged misogyny. He was even banned from Twitter until Elon Musk let him back. Did that make his influence go away? It just sent a message to those young men. Your hero is being silenced by the powers that be. In their eyes, that almost proved his point about the Matrix trying to keep men down, right? Like, again, you speak up about the system, about how there's an evil system, right? There's a distorted version of reality that's built to oppress people from standing up to it. It's not even like men versus women at this point. It oppresses strong men or strong people. It could be a woman too. There's a lot of very strong women challenging the way the system works. And it's silencing people that say, hey, maybe we should change it. Charges get dropped, slander, you're banned from social media. Don't you think that's what I would call resistance of somebody actually realizing, hey, this person's saying something that's coming after us. Maybe, just maybe, we should do something about it. And that's typically what it looks like. It's the silencing. As for Nick Fuentes, he got banned from Twitter, reinstated, and then banned again within 24 hours for, guess what? Saying terrible things. First of all, that guy can't help himself. He's just, oh geez. Okay, yeah, that could go on for a while about that guy. I would just maybe check him out and realize how wild his language can get. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of things he says, but I do give him credit to the fact that he has a strong view and he can at least back that. I just don't like the way he does it. But again, to his followers, this was the system. doesn't want you to hear the truth. Of course, right? All you did was prove my point when you banned me. So they pick platforms like Rumble, kind of like I'm on here, that you can't shut up because they're not centralized. Burping. Censorship can sometimes backfire, meaning the banned person is essentially a martyr of free speech, right? Hasn't this happened with Andrew Tate? He got banned and all of a sudden, right, his silence, the fact that he got banned is like, well, shit, well, this is all real. They actually came after me. They threw charges at me. They dropped stuff in the news to make you think I'm a bad person. He might be, guys. I still don't know. He's already faced one case and beat it completely. No evidence against him. And so like, you start to wonder, maybe this guy's got a point. Maybe the system is trying to attack you for saying the wrong things. And maybe he's just the loudest fucking guy in the group, right? So of course he's going to get smoked. He's going to catch a stray. I probably will too. Hopefully I'm not like challenging the system outright in a way that's pissing it off. I'm just trying to get you guys to think about things. I'm not saying start a revolution here. I'm just saying, hey, realize what the fuck's going on. Even mainstream analysts are starting to admit the obvious. If you ignore men's fucking issues, guys, I hate to swear so much, but maybe this is my military coming out. If you ignore men's issues, you create a vacuum that radical voices fill. One scholar, Richard Reeves, comes from Harvard here, noted that the vacuum of support for young men has been filled by populist politicians and manosphere influencers offering quick fix answers. Sound familiar? Without getting political, I wonder if there's a politician or a couple politicians that have promised populist solutions, the quick fix, bringing prices down, making things better. How quick do they gain popularity? That's all I'm asking. When you ignore men's issues, you need quick fixes because you can't let anybody stand up and do something. Men want to do this, guys. Like there's this dynamic of like, yes, we want women to take power. We want to have you guys involved just as much as we are. But we like doing it. Like if you actually give a man the opportunity to lead, the purpose he will feel in life is insane. Most men, I think, they just don't have the right environment. And so they're not going to try to get a job because they feel stepped down upon. They probably are so much. And when you give them a chance to lead, yeah, I bet depression would go down. I bet suicide rates would go down. I bet the impact that people feel like they're having would go up. Look at other countries that are doing this. I think like Sweden, right? Switzerland, very strong traditional roles out there. And that's just still holding true. And they still have equality, guys. They still have, but when they come home, right, they're still, the man's importance in that dynamic is very much so. It's not that like they're the enemy for displaying that. And you wonder why their culture is stronger than ever. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing out facts, guys. Again, like, I don't even think most of this is an opinion. Because in reality, I'm just saying, compare it to how a good culture is good. You don't have like all the societal systemic problems as much on this large scale. And I'm sure it's the smaller countries that I'm talking about, right? But look at the example. I can't say too much. So here we are. We've gotten to the point, I didn't mean to get here, but we're challenging reality as promised. The reality is being a man in 2025 comes with some unique challenges that aren't openly talked about in polite society. A lot of men feel left out. Therefore, they feel left behind and they're straight up lied to. And if you bring this up, some people will jump down your throat. Oh, poor men, try being a woman. It's not a competition of who has it worse. Ideally, no one should suffer. We can acknowledge women's issues and men's issues. It's not a zero-sum game, folks. Now, I'm not here to throw, like, I don't want to be a pity party guy. Like, again, I think that's why Andrew Tate is so, like, dominant with the way he speaks. He's not trying to be a pity party leader, right? He doesn't even want to be known as, like, because, again, if you the current view is that, like, men are soft and weak, right? When you say, oh, we have it too hard, well, of course you look like the pity party leader. And I don't think he wants to do that, too. So the only way to do that is to say your values in a way that, like, makes you feel lit up, inspired. That's like the football coach, right? There's truth in that. We do have to take responsibility for our lives. And stay tuned, I'll be in the advice section pretty quick. But there's a difference between whining and identifying a problem. You can't fix something if you refuse to admit it's real. I've had this problem in relationships so many times. I've been a victim of this in relationships myself. Too many times things happen and you go back and you're like, well, shit, maybe if I actually consider that this is a reality and not calling it delusion that the other person's calling out, or vice versa. I made a good point. They might have called it delusion. I actually stood on business and they blocked me out because identifying a problem is seen like whining a lot of time. And how do you get better, right? If you can't take feedback on both sides. If your roof is leaking again, you don't say others have it worse, so I'm gonna get used to the drip. That's, again, no, you fix the damn roof. Likewise, we have to talk about these challenges if we want better outcomes. What I'm doing is seen as like revolutionary. It's seen as a massive change, disruption, right? What Andrew Tate's done, disruption. No, this used to be the norm. We've just gotten so comfortable in a society. Guys, I'm gonna just point out a term, and it's literally, again, you've heard the expression, hard times create hard men and women, I guess, we'll add women in, but the expression is just men. So hard times create hard men create soft times because they're so good at what they do. Soft times create soft men, which is where we've been just up to this point. And now soft men create hard times. So the only way to go next is these hard times have to make hard men. And if nobody's giving into that, we're fucking doomed as a country, as a civilization. That, again, it's just a fact. Like, that's just a formula. If things are getting harder and you can't keep up, You're going to be swimming uphill. And I care about us so much as a country, as a people, as a group of individuals working together to better our world that I want us to succeed. And I want the best for us, but that means we have to understand that we've been in some soft fucking times. We haven't experienced a world war, and we're getting close to one, sure, but like we haven't lived through something, like it's been so comfortable in our life going across the road to Chipotle and back home. Is that really living a hard life? You're really going to struggle about most stuff? Like, put this stuff into perspective. There's not black plague spreading on the streets. It's not as dangerous as it seems. And you're going to complain about saying we have hard times. No, we have very soft times. And if you want to see hard times, we're getting damn close to it. All we have to do is keep doing what we've been doing. I'm gonna take a breath because this is just heavy stuff. I don't think I can fix it in one conversation. I don't want you guys to see me as the complete enemy here for pointing out facts. I hate that the moderator gets pulled into the debate too many times, but I promise there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, we've called out the BS and examined the playing field for what it is. Let's pivot to the second part of the show. How do we ascend and how do we switch gears to create an actual, actionable and viral friendly kind of wisdom? This is the part you guys want to clip and share, the keys to ascension for today's men. This might sound like a bit blunt, but just remember, guys, tough love is still love. And trust me, there's the kinds of straight talk snippets that get shared on TikTok and Reels with 7 truths every man needs to hear. So let's get into it. Or hopefully like misogynist state's view on reality. Like hopefully that's not it. I care about you guys. And I want you guys to grow, men or women too. Guys, I love women. I'm the biggest woman lover out here. Respectfully. Like I love women so much that I want men to step up so we can make things better for you guys. Let's do this. Why are we not working together here? But it's also not men's fault. It's not that men haven't stepped up either. It's just that society, men and women, the whole thing, it's not even tied to sex. It's created a system because of just things that we've allowed into our life where it's gotten so easy. And therefore, it's so hard to break the system. And men are like being seen as just pathetic creatures. No, our parents did this. This is a system that's been forming for years. But it's important to recognize that if we keep doing it, we're going to get too soft. And we're going to do some bad shit that's going to have to force us to wake up. And I care about women too much, and I care about men too much that I don't want us to have to go through hard times, guys. So the first thing I'll say, guaranteed fact, it will make your life better. No one is coming to save you. So take responsibility. This is truth number one for a reason. Nobody, I mean nobody, is coming to rescue you from your problem. And as men, we have to internalize this. Yes, there are obstacles. We just talked about so many of them. At the end of the day, you're responsible for your own life. Now, I gave you guys like I gave you the blue pill and I'm going to give you the red pill, right? Or I gave you the red pill and I'm going to give you the blue pill. I don't know. I'm going to give you the black pill, the green pill, like, I don't know, something else. I'm going to change the dynamic because I can only just feel bad for us for so long. I got to tell you how to fix it. If it's a bitter pill, right? Whatever it is, but it's also an empowering one, because once you accept that you are a primary agent in your story, you can actually start to change the plot. You can, guys. It's not written as much as you think it is. Stop blaming society, women, your parents, the economy, the neighbor's fucking dog for what you are and who you are. All of those factors might be real, but blaming them won't improve your situation. As a young man, your life is your duty. When you end it, when you throw it away for nothing, you are sabotaging your innate. If you are out of shape, no one else is going to drag your ass out of bed to the gym. If you feel depressed or rudderless, you must decide to seek help or make changes. Harsh? Maybe, but it's also reality. If we want to fix things before they get too soft and then times get too hard, we want to start gradually forcing ourselves to make it harder before we're forced to. Because being forced to looks like nuclear war. It looks like climate change. It looks like disasters. It looks like terrorism attacks. It looks like all the bad things that we let happen because we just don't care. And so I'd rather make it hard by our choice and not the world's. Remember this line: if you won't swim, you'll sink. We grow up on superhero movies and stories of saviors, but in real life, you are your own hero. Personal anecdote, guys. In the military, when things go wrong, no excuses, play like a champion. If my unit fails a task, we don't sit around and point fingers or wait for some miracle. We own the failure, fix what we can, and try again. That mindset works in civilian life too. You had a string of bad luck, okay, it happens. Take a moment, assess what was out of your control and what wasn't. Then focus on what you can control and double down. A lot of guys fall into the victim mindset nowadays, for good reason. We talked about it. And look, I sympathize. The struggle is so real. But staying a victim will only ensure you stay down. As men, society actually does expect us to endure and overcome. We just can't change the reality of what it is. There's always going to be there. And honestly, I want it to be there because I don't want to be a half person, right? If my duty as a man is to stand up and be a leader, I'm going to do that. I'm not doing it to put women down. I'm not doing it to challenge the system or to be a misogynist. I'm doing it because I feel like that's my duty, because that's a higher purpose I have. If I have the capacity to lead people and help people that need it, I'm going to damn well do that. Being responsible for yourself is step one in becoming that capable man. There's no more hiding behind excuses. Own your life. There's a quote that's attributed to Jordan Peterson. Ideal man is not a timid lamb. He's a monster, but he's a monster with discipline. Because when you can be a monster but control it, that's what gives virtue in being dangerous, capable, Let's talk about number 2, embrace discomfort. That's doing hard things. We live in a time of unprecedented comfort. You can get food fucking delivered on DoorDash or Uber Eats with a few taps. You can binge watch Netflix for days and avoid any physical exertion beyond walking to the fridge. Comfort's great, but too much comfort, it weakens you. To grow as a man, you have to embrace discomfort on purpose. This means doing the hard things before life forces you to. Hit the gym, challenge your body, become stronger. Not just so you look good. I think a massive bench press is pretty damn good. I actually think I stare at guys more than I do at women at the gym. Pause, but resume too, because like I want to figure out like who I can look up to. And so I look at guys at the gym to be like, damn, I think I want to have a conversation with that guy. I can tell that he actually gives a shit about his future. He's disciplined. He's in shape. I'm not going to the gym to like spot baddies, right? Like there's plenty of baddies at the gym. And I think any woman who works out is very attractive because she's put that discipline into her life. She's probably getting criticized for like, why do you care so much about what men think? Well, it doesn't have to be what men think. You just want to be disciplined. I want to be disciplined to work more efficiently, to be able to endure more stress. And the gym is a perfect place to take healthy stress on. It's not because I want to overpower women or because I want to look good or have some egotistical sense. No, I would, if nobody watched me, I would still work out. Lift heavy weights, run that extra mile. The struggle builds resilience. And so just do whatever. Take a cold shower in the morning. Prove to yourself that you're not ruled by the path of least resistance. There's a reason military training involves a lot of pain and difficulty. Why basic training sucks so much for me, guys. I remember the cold showers, going straight into low crawling into sand. It's not just for fun. It's to forge you into someone who can handle chaos without breaking. That's why Navy SEAL training is so mental and very, it's not focused on physical. They don't do the most physical activities in terms of like what they could be doing. They could be, but a lot of times they'll be like just sitting in, linked arms in water. Like that's not as physical as like, deadlifting for like 5 hours straight, but it's more mentally stimulating. Why they do drown-proof exercising. It's to forge you into someone who can handle that chaos. You don't have to be military to apply this either. You can just be a desk worker. I'm kind of a lazy desk worker myself, but if you're running marathons on the weekend, you built mental toughness that will show when deadlines at work pile up. And doing the hard things sets you apart. So many people avoid struggle that if you consistently seek it out, you'll rise above the pack. Guys, at this point, because of how far downhill we've gotten, I just ask yourself, what is the opposite of what society's telling you to do? What is the opposite of what the mainstream media is telling you is healthy? At this point, we're so fucking lost that it's probably the actual best thing for you. I'm trying to think of examples, right? Like, they talk about all these diets, right? About like, oh, do the like paleo, whatever, blah, blah, blah diet where you eat this amount of bullshit. No, just eat less calories than you take in and you'll lose weight. All this other shit is just to tie it to a celebrity, to endorse their cookbook, whatever it is. So like always look for the double meaning behind everything. And typically the simplest thing is what actually works. So easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life. If you choose the easy route every time, sleeping in, skipping the workout, procrastinating on the project, life's gonna hit you pretty damn hard with health problems, career woes, etc. But if you choose the hard route often, if you train, if you learn, if you push yourself, life becomes easier because you're prepared, but you're also capable of damage, right? You're capable of putting out an insane amount of value into the world. You just have to align that properly. You're gonna be rich, you're gonna be in shape. People are gonna call you the enemy because you don't care about anything but yourself, because they don't know what else to say. You have to care about yourself. I want to live. I want to have a great, healthy, capable life. And if people think that's a challenge to them because it makes them look worse, fuck them. So challenge yourself. Embrace the suck, as we say in the military. It won't kill you. It'll make you. Let's talk about the third point. Honestly, that one, I'm going to kind of skip this one. It's just getting in shape, guys. But it's just, you need health, because health is wealth. Being stronger and healthy literally makes you harder to kill. It would back in the day. And we're still the same biological humans that would chase, deer off cliffs or whatever it's going to be, by external lines and internal issues. Fit men have more energy, to get sick less, and statistically live longer. Fat shame or anti-fat shame me all you want, whatever it's going to be. But I'm right. I'm right. You can't pursue your goals effectively if you constantly get exhausted or ill. Second, working out disciplines your mind. It takes commitment to hit the gym regularly or stick to the run. That discipline spills over into other areas of your life. And I've already made this point. It's not just lifting weights, but eat properly, everything, guys. And there's a mental health aspect. Again, depression is high among men. Suicide's high. Exercise is a potent antidepressant. If you're feeling down or anxious, I always go to the gym. I always do that first and ask myself if the cortisol that needs to be worked off, the stress hormone in my brain, is high. If you take a nap, it'll also help your cortisol. If you're feeling stressed, you take a nap. If you're feeling stressed, go work it out at the gym. All of these things can help your brain reset. Many therapists will tell you the first thing to do for depression, along with any needed therapy or meds, is just exercise. So if you're struggling mentally, make working out part of your treatment plan. And stop giving me fucking excuses like I don't have time. You have time. Carve out even 30 minutes a day to do something. You could be doing it while you're watching this. Start doing push-ups right now. I'll start counting. 3. Damn, you're getting big. Okay, 4, 5. Sorry, I'm not trying to be weird. And then chase purpose. Probably my last big point here, but let's talk about instant gratification. It's at our fingertips right here. We got endless entertainment. We got porn. We got junk food, if you name it. It's very easy to slip into a routine where you're living for the next dopamine hit, the next video game level, the next binge watch, the next Tinder hookup, the next beer, whatever. But the truth is, anyone without purpose will drown in pleasure. If you don't have a guiding mission or long-term goal pulling you forward, you'll likely default to whatever feels good in the moment. I've done it so many times. I don't think I'm a sex addict, right? But I used to go out on a lot of dates because I wanted to be validated. I didn't have another purpose. I wasn't building a business. I sold a company and then I didn't know what to do with myself. So I said, well, I'm going to just chase pleasure. No, bad mistake. I'm not saying you should be a monk and just deny all pleasure. This is about prioritization because that's how you live the best life. You can still enjoy it, but you got to lock in when you got to lock in. Purpose means having something meaningful that you're working toward or standing for. Building a career, a business you care about, mastering a craft, providing for your family, creating an art, serving your community, the people. Even a personal mission, like I want to help 1,000 people improve their fitness. That's how I take coaches and actually we work together in my community. The link's in my bio, guys. It's right in front of you. All of the stuff I'm talking about, the fixes are in my bio. I've already built the stuff on this. I'm not even going to try to plug that hard. And then just finally, beware of modern vices. The big three I see: excessive porn, excessive video games, and mindless social media. Controversial take, maybe, but hear me out. Porn is everywhere. It's free. It's super stimulating. It's overstimulating. But the poison, it is poison in very large doses over time. Sorry, my live's cutting out. I gotta drag that puzzle piece so it fits in the grid to keep my screen on. Countless guys get hooked on porn use and later find it wrecks their motivation and their ability to enjoy real intimacy. It's like, imagine you have a magic device that gets you unlimited candy. You might just skip real meals and gorge on candy until you're fucking sick. It's like sexual candy. It gives you the illusion of fulfillment without any of that real world effort or connection. It desensitizes you over time, meaning your real relationships might excite you less than they should. It can also fill you with distorted expectations about sex, women, performance. Newsflash, real intimacy with someone you care about is way fucking different than the scripted, performative Johnny Sin stuff in porn videos. I'm not saying that you should totally abstain. That's your choice, but be very cautious. If you find it's become a daily crutch for you, try cutting it out for a while and see how your mind changes. Synapses rewire themselves as they fire. It's called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself. Many men find and report huge boosts in energy and drive when they quit porn. That's why that whole no-fap movement is so great. No-fap in reality is just, you're not jerking off to porn, or you're not masturbating to porn. Just, you're still getting releases, but you're doing it with a partner. It's healthy to have sex with a partner. It's not healthy to do it to virtual relationship romance, right? Because first of all, there's another guy in there, and that no wonder these like third-party syndrome things are being a thing. You're watching somebody else do it. You're not doing it yourself, so no wonder that's an issue. And second of all, they're doing things that you probably can't physically do. And so makes you depressed. I'm not saying me, I'm saying most people, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make this funny, guys. I'm sorry. I love games. I love video games, guys. They're not inherently bad. I'm just saying if you spend 6, 8, 10 hours a day in a virtual world achieving virtual rewards while your real life stagnates, well, you got to wake up. Ready Player One, you watch that show, like world shit, everyone's just going to get sucked into this more and more. Social media and digital junk, yeah. Substances, yeah. So really the only thing out is just have a tribe of people. We need people to support you. And again, when hard times create strong men, which will be the case coming up, we want that to be by our choice and not because the world has forced us there. We could be in for some very hard times if these trends continue, but it means an opportunity for a new generation of strong, dare I say, ascended men to emerge. Why not let that be us? No pun intended. Remember, the Ascended podcast is not about putting anyone down or whining about life. It's about uplifting and inspiring each other, men and women. It's about saying, okay, maybe the game's a little rigged, but why don't we find a way to win anyway? It's about laughing in the face of absurdity, hence the humor, while tackling serious issues head on. We challenge fake narratives, we seek truth, and we just strive to be better people every day. If you got value from this, share it with a friend, especially a young man who might need to hear these truths. Let's spread this message within my UCMJ limits, of course. I joke. Honestly, though, a lot of guys out there are hungry for this kind of conversation. They might not say it, but I guarantee you guys feel it. By sharing clips or talking about the topics, you might help someone level up or feel understood. I'll end on this thought. I'm going to take a big sip of water so you know I'm serious. How do I want to say this? Being a man, a sex biological male, is not a sin. You can't be hated for that. Just like you can't be hated if you're a certain minority or ethnicity or speak a certain language, you look a certain color. It doesn't matter, guys. Being what you are isn't a sin. It's a responsibility, especially as a man, and it's a gift. We have the potential to be protectors, to be builders, to be innovators, brothers, husbands, to leave the world better than we found it, as our great ancestors always have tried to do. But to do that, we have to ascend above the bullshit. We have to strengthen ourselves. We have to lead by example. The world needs good men, perhaps more than ever. Strong, kind, disciplined, but funny, humorous, easygoing, and brave men. Why not be one of them? Thank you for listening to the Ascended podcast today, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Stay strong, stay ambitious, and stay true to yourself. And I'll see you on YouTube. Of course, like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for watching.